Hi there, this is Dan Connolly, and you're watching Know Your O's, and this is a very special version of Know Your O's, a Mother's Day version, and I'm here with, I guess we could call her the, at least the First Lady of the Baltimore Orioles, Angela Showalter, Buck's wife of more than 30 years, and we're going to talk a little bit to her about what it's like to be a baseball mom and to kind of raise children with in the crazy life of Major League Baseball, and some other things too. So first of all, welcome, Angela. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me, but let me clarify. Mrs. Angela is the first one.
Fair enough.
She goes first.
Fair enough. Fair enough. We call you the matriarch of the Baltimore Orioles. Does that work?
Well, that means I'm old.
Okay, well, we won't go there either. First of all, I mean, kind of talk about when you started with Buck. You met him. I guess let's just start in the beginning on where you met Buck, because it's kind of an interesting story, and it revolves around baseball.
It does. I actually, for a summer job, was working at the Nashville Sounds. I grew up in Nashville, Tennessee, and Buck was playing in the New York Yankees organization and had just been sent down from AAA, as he would probably say, for the several hundredth time. And I was selling programs and was there, of course, early before the game started, and he came up to me, and somebody had kept mentioning his name to me, but I was like, oh, baseball players are here today, gone tomorrow. And so asked me to see a program, and I proceeded to hand him one, and he asked me if he could have it, and I proceeded to tell him he owed me $2. So he, of course, informed me that he was a player, and I said, well, that money's coming out of my pocket. So I didn't have a lot invested in him at that time, nothing invested, so I made him pay for it.
That's fantastic. So now, when you met him, was he Nat Showalter at the time, or was he Buck at that point?
No, he was already Buck. He had transitioned.
Okay. Now you and Buck got married in 1983, and you have two children who are grown now. Allie, who is in her late 20s, I guess, right?
Yes, 29.
And she's an attorney in Texas?
Yes, she's an attorney in Dallas.
In Dallas. And then Nathan, and tell us a little bit about what he's doing, because it's kind of interesting. Maybe not everybody knows this yet.
Nathan is 25 and, of course, graduated from college and then proceeded to transition into professional baseball work for the San Diego Padres one summer. And then, of course, wanted him over here, hopefully one day to be in the Orioles organization he is now. He is scouting, covers North Texas, Arkansas, and Oklahoma, and does the collegiate high school scouting, and then we'll transition into pro coverage after the June draft.
Now, what was it like? Obviously, pretty much through all their lives, Buck was a baseball manager, a baseball lifer, if you will, and that means a lot of people don't understand. But whether it's media, whether it's the players, staff, whatever, that means they're gone a lot, and that means the wives have to do a whole lot of parenting and a whole lot of everything, really. What was that like? What has that been like?
It's one of the things that we've not known in life any other different way, because that's what it was, other than the few times between when Buck was not managing and worked with ESPN, which was kind of a great break for our family, because we actually got to kind of find out what living a really normal life was. But a lot of moving, a lot of, packing up. You have really, a lot of people don't understand this, but you have 3 cities involved. From the city, because most people don't, especially just starting out, do not live in the city where they play baseball. So you have your hometown, and then you have spring training, and then you have the season wherever you are. And if you're in the minor leagues, that can change multiple times, even in the big leagues. That's, a lot of the guys here know. So the kids have to learn to be adaptive. It's been good. Our kids have, for moving, it has its disadvantages, but there is many advantages too of the things you learn in life.
One of the things that I thought was interesting about your family is they are all baseball people. As far as, Buck jokes that Allie is the most rabid baseball fan of the family, and she teaches him things. And obviously Nathan is involved in Major League Baseball now. Were they always baseball fans, or was it just one of those things that because they kind of grew up in ballparks?
I think it's a little bit of both, but sometimes it's just, the personality, because I have seen, multitudes of players who a lot of times I have to remind people say, oh, if every Major League Baseball player who has a son is, it's already predetermined that they're supposed to be phenomenal athletes, then there would just be a redo every year, year after year, of Major League Baseball players and their kids, and you don't see that as much. So yes, we went to the games a lot, but I think, they're interested in it. Allie's personality is a lot like Buck's. as far as attention to detail. And it's kind of comical because just recently Buck said something about Allie, and she needs to be she'd be a great GM. And I think he finally realized, being now that she has her law degree, he wasn't quite sure he could afford her to be a GM with an organization. And Nathan, of course, is scouting, and it's kind of interesting for that, because I have to sometimes in the wintertime when we're having dinner and Nathan has his opinion about a player or aspect of baseball, and Buck has maybe a different opinion. I have to kind of remind Buck, he's a man now, and he's entitled to his own opinion, and you had yours at times when other people, you admired, you didn't agree with them. So it's interesting, and Buck is a tough critic, and will say Nathan is a very, very good scout. So, that coming from his dad, that means a lot.
One of the things I found interesting, Buck obviously tries to get the whole family thing going on, with the team and with the players, and he really tries to establish that. But it seems like you've done that a lot with the wives. I can't tell you how many times I've seen you carry balloons or cakes or whatever for the showers and that kind of stuff. Do you kind of take that role for you to kind of get everybody together on the page, who are the wives, the girlfriends, and that kind of stuff, the way he does with the players?
It's one of the wives would pretty much. I think for me it started out years ago when you first came into, especially getting to the big leagues, and I found it to be everybody's dream. This is where we all want to go, and then you get there and you kind of don't know anybody a lot of times, or if you've been traded, and so therefore you're and I used to always bug me to see people standing off to the side and no one would speak to them. So I just think that would not be a way to run any kind of business. It's a family. You spend you spend more time with each other than you do your own personal families outside of your own immediate family. So if you can make someone else's life easier because you've been through this before, I just think it's essential. I can surely identify with having a newborn baby that has been up for more than 24 hours and a husband out of town. I can sure identify with the child falling and busting their head open and needing stitches, and you don't even know where the nearest hospital is. So those things like that, are important to me, that these girls know that someone else has been through it. And then also the fact that, when you go through playoffs, the first time you go through it, you're not quite sure what's there, but it's important for somebody to kind of, make sure you do make you get on the team bus, you're with the family, that sort of stuff.
Now, one of the things I've gotten to know you over time, you don't have any adult, young children anymore, but you have a lot of four-legged babies at home. Talk to us a little bit about your motherhood of the dogs and the breed, and why they're so important to you.
We are the proud parents of four. We did have four. We're now down to 3 Basset Hounds, which that's not a little dog. That's not a dog that you can put in a bag and get on an airplane with. We are very blessed. We have one of our veterinarians in Texas who drives the dogs back and forth from us from Texas to Baltimore when we're here for the summer. She loves baseball, so it's an added bonus for her too. But yeah, it's one of those things. Years ago, one time we didn't have a dog, and Buck, we had one. It was a small, little dog, and it was our daughter's dog. And when we went through the expansion season in Arizona, and there were over 100 losses, I think, the first year, close to it. And Buck said, I just wished I had a dog to jump up on me and make, when I got home to greet me. So we proceeded to get a bloodhound at that time, but we've now, stuck with our Bassets. And they're great. They're as much as a load sometimes as having kids. It seems to be I've almost gotten a veterinarian degree by the time I've had to take care for them. And they're just, and they keep me company. I don't go on every road trip, but they're quite the company for me to have at home. And like I said, and don't let anybody, everybody know, Buck, people say he never smiles, but those Bassets can sure make him smile.
Well, he says that you have such a passion for it that he has joked, and maybe he's exaggerating a little bit, but he's joked that when you watch the Westminster Dog Show or whatever, it's like watching a Super Bowl in a bar with people because you get so into it and you make comments and that kind of stuff. Is he exaggerating, or do you really get into those kind of things?
I get into it, but he does too.
Okay.
He and I both went to Westminster, but I am just an animal person. I'm a people person too, but I've actually been teasing him because we bought some land here, and I keep telling him I'm going to get a zebra. and I'm gonna paint it orange where the white is, and so I'm gonna have an orange and black zebra.
That's awesome. Now, there's another thing that's actually very close to your heart as well, and you can give us a little bit about the background of that. But KidsPeace is an organization that you and Buck have been very involved in. And what's that about and why?
KidsPeace is a 131-year-old organization. It involves kids who are in foster care. We focus on kids who are in therapeutic foster care. Obviously, when kids are in foster care, they've gone through some things in their lives, in their home. A lot of times, kids will end up in the court system on a Friday night, like tonight, and they'll have to find a foster care home because they've had to be removed from the home because of the type of care, the home situation they're living in, whether it's domestic abuse, just some horrendous things that kids unfortunately have to be a witness to. My family took in kids on the weekends for what's called respite, just for a short time when I was growing up, and it was one of those things that when I went to, with our kids being older, this was a perfect time for me to get involved more with organizations, with charity, because when our kids were young and with baseball, people had often asked me to be involved, but I never felt like it was the right thing to do to hire a babysitter to go give time to another organization. Our kids were our kids were our charity, my charity at that time, to raise them and get them to adulthood or to. So KidsPeace, it brought back a lot of memories of kids being at home. We would go pick up these kids on the weekend at a group home, which is basically like living in your elementary school or your high school, where these kids are living in group homes and spend the weekend because they're not deemed ready enough or they can't find a foster care home to take care of them. And it was just such a sad existence to look at how we would pick them up and they would come with everything they owned in a pillowcase or a garbage bag, and then we'd take them back on Sunday night. And it's one of those things that I realized they've impacted my life more than my parents ever impacted theirs. So it just was a perfect fit for Buck and I, and just to make awareness, when it's amazing, and Buck and I are so humbled by us being a part of it, that people have wanted to embrace it and learn more about it, and that's what we need to do. I mean, just like anybody, there are great charities all around and causes, but this is, one that Buck and I choose to promote.
It's fantastic, and I know part of it's been neat to see you guys and what you've done in the community. And one of the things that's also interesting is you talked about 3 different homes, but you guys have kind of made Baltimore, I mean, you still have a house in Texas, but you kind of make Baltimore, your home. Why is that, and was that a conscious decision, or did it just kind of work that way for you?
I mean, we bought a home here, but never do you ever realize when you're buying something that it's how you're going to fit, what it's going to feel like. I know a lot of times when we were first moved here, people would say, "Oh, buy downtown," and we kind of wanted to get out, especially because of the dogs. I knew we needed some space. It's been a perfect fit for us. It's just, I mean, first of all, anybody who lives here, I don't have to tell you, it's a beautiful, just the scenery all around. You can drive, 15, 20 miles and see something new every day. And the seasons here are so pretty. The people here, I mean, it breaks my heart when people, refer to Baltimore as a place not to go visit. And it's funny because everybody often will ask me, well, what is your favorite place? And I kind of always say, I always have a little byline that says, they all have something good about it, because if they were all bad, no one would live there and it'd be a desolate town. But it's just been a great fit for us. It's a place we call home, and I will tell you, Buck often will tell me how jealous he is because we do have land and I get to kind of spend time farming here and there. And he he likes to go out and ride on the tractor when time allows him to.
Now, there's going to be games Sunday, obviously, on Mother's Day. But if you were to go to a Mother's Day brunch, if you were to go to a special dinner place with Buck, is there a restaurant or two in Baltimore that you really kind of hit on?
I will go. We really just do not eat out much. I like to cook, and it's just one of those things we have not had the time to do, to enjoy. That's the the part of baseball. Your life is so kind of busy and you're traveling so much, so home is a haven for you, and you kind of just enjoy it. And we're kind of really plain simple people, so I can't selection out one place. And you know, when you're in baseball, and now with the phenomenal way the Orioles have it, there's a lot. There are great meals served in the locker room, so Buck doesn't come home very hungry.
One last question for you. You didn't really necessarily grow up as a baseball person. You had some, you know, your grandfathers and such, but you are obviously a baseball person now. And there's a great story about when he was, you know, going through the minors, that you would actually, you know, chart pitches for him and do that kind of stuff. Talk to us a little bit about that, and you know what that experience was like to kind of be, you know, a baseball person, like right in the middle of all of it.
Well, it starts out as being a newlywed in baseball and being in Oneonta, New York, and so you know those environments. Which Oneonta was a great city, but you know Buck asked me, he said, "Hey, could you help me out with? I need to do tenancy charts," and so I thought, and I have kind of a artistic background a little bit, and he said, you know, it involves, you know, a lot of colored pencils and lines, and I thought, oh, this is pretty easy. And it was quite interesting to see it as the summer went on, how the different, you know, and now you can understand, you know, the shift for sure, because on certain players, I was running out of paper, and this was a short season club. This was in, you know, low A. It started in June, and my piece of paper for each player, on some players, you know, you're running out of lines where there was a line drive or a, you know, a base hit, you know, a fly ball in the field. You had a different way to mark it. So maybe I should have written a book a long time ago.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm really glad you had a chance to sit down with us. This is Dan Connolly with Angela Showalter and Know Your O's. Happy Mother's Day to you, Angela, and to all the mothers out there.